Hello YouTube! Since this is the start of a new year, I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to share the things that I no longer want to see in the gym in 2024. And these aren't necessarily douchebag traits or things that make you an asshole to other people. Because in my book, if you're being an asshole but you're still making gains, you're doing something right. Rather, I want to talk about the type of behavior that is going to guarantee that you're just going to waste your time. And with all of the information available for free on the internet, you'd think that most people would take the time to learn about lifting before they step foot into the gym, but the truth is that it's not the case. Now that I'm back at a commercial gym, I spend a lot of time looking at the way people train, and the mistakes I see blow my mind. So what I want to do today is I want to discuss 5 archetypes of lifters I see every single day at my gym in order to make sure that you're not that guy. So that if you see a trait or a behavior that resembles what you do, you can correct it to make sure that you'll actually see some growth in 2024. So let's start with dude number 1. Dude number 1 is the guy who thinks that progressive overload is overrated. So I step foot into the gym every day and I see him every day, and every time he lifts the same weight. And he's been lifting the same weight for 6 months. Now anyone with a functioning brain would know that this is a problem. It's called a plateau. It means that you're not progressing. This guy apparently has never heard about plateaus before, so he seems to be perfectly content with that. And maybe it's because he's the type of person who fell for the muscles can see weights meme. I know it's a sentence that you hear a lot on YouTube Fitness and Instagram. It's the sentiment that the amount of weight you lift is irrelevant, it's the way you lift it. And that's true to an extent. But there comes a point where no matter how much you slow down your tempo, no matter how many reps you do, it really doesn't matter if there's no weight on the bar. Your muscles will not get challenged. And maybe the muscles can't see the weight, but they can feel the weight. They can sense the weight. And if there's no extra stress, they will have no reason to grow. Case in point, that dude in my gym. Because that dude has looked the same for the past 6 months, and he's a novice. He's just getting started. That's not normal. The dude has managed to fuck up newbie gains. And on top of that, and this is just me adding it onto it because it's a fun video, the guy just slams his weights back onto the rack full force at the end of each set, which is super annoying. 1. 2, is maybe a way for him to compensate because he's lifting baby weights. So since he cannot attract attention with his feats of strength, he tries to do it with noise. It's a defense mechanism, I guess. It would be so much easier if he just understood progressive overload and went from there. He could also be the type of person who has convinced himself that lifting heavy is not needed. That's also one that always surprised me, even as a bodybuilder. I perfectly understand that lifting heavy to hit failure and to actually taste intensity in the gym is needed. You will not navigate your way around that one. Every single natural lifter with a good physique is lifting heavy. Not as heavy as a strength athlete, but still much heavier than the fucking bar. The bar will not get you anywhere. So if you refuse to see the weight on the bar grow, chances are that the muscles on your body that move that bar will not grow either. And this is especially true for people who try to, again, navigate around that fact by claiming to be training for sport or for function. Whether you train for sports, function, or bodybuilding doesn't matter. Progression still needs to occur, or else you're literally lifting for no gains and for no reason. And maybe that's what this guy likes. Maybe he just likes the exercise aspect. I don't know many people who do, and I think that you would be better served doing something else because this person trains like a marathon runner without running fucking marathons, and so he also looks like one. And I guarantee you that I'll still see this guy every time I come into the gym because he somehow also trains every single day. And I also can guarantee you that at the end of 2024, he will look just as small as he did at the start of it. Dude number 2 is the guy who loves supersets but takes it too far. So he heard somewhere that supersets are a great way to save time, but what he understood is run from station to station to save as much time as possible. So now he's not really lifting weights, he's running sprints in between sets of lifting weights, which sort of defeats the purpose because now he gets done with his sets as fast as possible. Looking at this guy train is wondrous. It's like looking at Speedy Gonzalez. The sets of curls I've seen this individual perform have left me in awe because it looks like he's trying to turn into a human fan. He moves the curl bar so fast that his arms become a blur, but he uses baby weight, of course, because how else are you supposed to get done with your set super fast? And then he sprints to the cable station and he does the shittiest sets of triceps extension you've ever seen in your life, with no real control or intensity, no negative, of course, because the negative is going to make him waste time. And he does that for the entirety of his stay in the gym. One, it sounds exhausting. Two, that's not how you're supposed to superset. Sometimes I have people who ask me questions about superset like, oh, how much time do I have in between sets? As if there was like a time limit, as if you exceed like 35 seconds, something happens. Look, the only thing that happens if you're too slow between supersets is that you waste time. That's it. You can take a minute between supersets if you want. If you need time to walk to the station, that's perfectly fine. You're still, at the end of the day, saving time. What you don't want to do, however, is to allow the superset, which is just a method, to dictate the rest of your training. Do not modify the way you use or the way you train just to be able to do more supersets faster. That's completely idiotic, because now you're going to accumulate a shit ton of volume, granted, but it's going to be garbage volume. It's not going to be quality. You're not going to grow from there. So as someone who promotes supersets super hard, I want to make sure you don't end up doing this. Because what this guy does is called circuit training. And circuit training is usually what is reserved for people who train for cardiovascular function or old people who don't care about getting muscle. They just want to stay active. But if you want muscle mass and growth, that is not the way to go about it. And the worst thing about this dude at my gym is that he's super skinny, and I'm not surprised by that fact because with the way he trains, he'll stay skinny forever. And this type of people is also the type that falls into the under-recover, under-eater category. So it's dudes who have no muscle mass and who are wimps, and they will stay like this forever because they have yet to understand that what matters the most for them is not what they do in the gym, it's what they do outside the gym. So usually these types grow best from low volume, high intensity and large recovery periods. And this guy does the exact opposite because just like number one, he's in the gym every single day and he's going to do that for the rest of his life, I guess. And I could maybe try to approach him to help him, but I can already feel, and this is true for every single guy on this list, that he would completely disregard whatever I have to say. So instead, I get to watch the dude do tricep extensions where he literally uses his body weight on the positive. So he just leans into the cable station and then raises his torso for the negative. So nothing really happens. Please don't be this guy, right? The negative is actually super important. You want to be in control of the weight. You're the one lifting the weight. The weight is not supposed to lift you. This guy also manages to commit the cardinal sin of superset, which is he supersets the same muscle group, not twice, but sometimes 3 to 4 times in a row. So I'll see that guy doing like dumbbell curls, then cable curls, then pressure station curls. And you know, anyone who actually trains with intensity would quickly realize that this is a bad idea because your performance suffers. But since this dude lifts baby weight on everything, nothing happens, and so he just gets to do a gazillion reps for no results whatsoever. Then you have guy number 3. Guy number 3 has never heard about the internet because he's a living meme, but he doesn't know it yet. So it's very popular to make fun of people who do half reps on the internet and YouTube. And for the longest time, when I was training in my home gym, I thought that this was just a myth, right? This was a straw man. No one actually trained like this. Then I went to a commercial gym and I was like, holy fuck, that is actually much more prevalent than I thought. The amount of people, for example, who do half squats is not a myth. Now I understand all of these people who insist on ass to grass, because ass to grass would be a massive improvement over what I see on a daily basis. Dudes who squat 1/8 of the range of motion. I'm not even kidding. They barely bend their knees. And you look at it thinking, okay, what does this guy think this accomplishes? For real, because you cannot be that stupid. You must realize that to grow a muscle, you have to go through a range of motion, right? So if you don't go through that range of motion, no matter how much weight you use, nothing's gonna happen. So in a sense, this dude is the opposite of number 1. Guy number 1 just refuses to progressively overload and lift heavy weights. This dude does the opposite. So he understands that to get bigger, you have to get stronger. But what he doesn't get is that it's not enough to just stack plates on the bar. Then you have to actually lift that weight. And if you don't lift it all the way through, then the muscle is not going to grow. Even if you have 1,000,000 pounds on that bar, it's not going to happen. But Trust me, this guy will attempt. He will try to put 1,000,000 pounds on the bar. So now he becomes this weird, like, walking explosion where every time he steps into the gym, people look at him like, holy shit, what is this maniac going to attempt today? And every time you're in the same room as him, you think, I'm going to catch a charge because this dude is going to attempt a squat that I know he cannot hit. And the question is, am I responsible? If something goes wrong, am I the one who's going to have to scrape his corpse off of the floor once the bar pins him? Because we all know that. It's what I call the squat roulette. It's like the Russian roulette, but with the squat. It's when you have someone who doesn't squat to parallel and who stacks plates and plates onto the bar to a point where you think, okay, if by mistake you go 1 inch too low, you're going to lose total control of that weight and you're going to get stapled because you know that these dudes don't know how to bail with the bar. That skill can be the difference between actually making gains in 2024 or spending the next New Year's Eve in a chair. And talking about a chair, I think that now we need to talk about this guy's cousin because they come in pair. So you'll have the dude who half reps everything with way too much weight, and then you'll have the guy who manages to have horrible form on every lift, which once again puzzles me because you have the internet. If you type deadlift, proper deadlift form, you'll get pointers and they all usually say the same thing. Likewise with the bench, likewise with the squat. This dude disregards all of it. This dude has decided that proper form is a conspiracy theory pushed by internet gurus to try and steal his gains. So instead he just wings it. He just lets his body do whatever when he lifts weights because there's no such thing as bad form, I guess. Yeah, I go to that gym with that guy and I can tell you that there is such a thing as bad form. And this dude is an expert on it. So when he deadlifts, he cuts back. That's the only way he knows how to deadlift. When he does a curl, he's going to swing. Cannot curl without swinging your hips. That is an impossibility for the dude. When he does squats, he good mornings. No quad involvement whatsoever. It's pure lower back. When he does lat pull downs, he swings all the way the fuck back to the point that that's not really a lat pull down anymore. The guy is literally doing a reverse back hyperextension on the lat pull down. And you're sitting there thinking, again, what happened to you in your life that you became like this? I'm curious to see how this guy navigates life outside of the gym because it must carry over. He must do stupid stuff like this all the time. He must look at the function of an item or a car or a dishwasher and then find the one way to make it so that when he runs it, he does the exact opposite of what was intended. And I also cannot come up to this guy to talk to him because I'm pretty sure that the guy is a maniac. He's going to skin me alive and I'm going to be found somewhere in the trunk of a car and I just don't want that to happen to me. So the only wake-up call that this dude can hope for is an injury. And that is sad. And this is why I also don't really like this new movement that we have on YouTube Fitness of people who try to be way too optimistic about movement and who will tell you, well, there's no such thing as dangerous form as long as you're cognizant. Yeah, but some people are not cognizant. Some people are morons. This is why it's so important to insist on proper form, is because some people need to be told this is good and this is bad. It's the only way they can learn. Once you have this foundation and you understand how the body works, then you can get a little bit exotic. Then you can round your upper back or whatever. But when you get started, it's a bad idea because then these dudes use that as an excuse, an argument of authority that I've heard a million times. So you'll have some skinny guy who deadlifts with a completely rounded back. And if you try to help the guy and say, hey, you're not actually using your legs or posterior chain, you need to keep a neutral spine, you'll be told, oh, well, this guy deadlifts with a rounded back, so it's fine. Well, this guy is Konstantin Konstantinov and he has like a 900-pound deadlift, but you're not him. You're not even 1/3 of the guy. You're just getting started. So instead of trying to justify shitty form with horrible arguments, how about lifting properly for once? Likewise with the lat pull down. I know that Arnold used to do his lat pull downs and cable rows with all sorts of body English. He's Arnold. You're not Arnold. So I really think that before trying some crazy stuff, you need to earn it with proper technique first and foremost, and then go from there. But at least number 4 has a redeeming quality, and that is that he actually puts in effort. He puts in effort wrong, so he won't see much results, but he's trying. Number 5 is not trying at all. And number 5 is the guy I see the most often. It's the dude who never puts in effort and who never goes to failure or even remotely close to failure. It's shocking to me because when I do a set, it's one of two things. Either a warm-up, So I do like, I say 8 reps and then I stop because I'm warm, or I'm doing a hard set and what stops me is failure. I get stopped by my muscle telling me no more, no mass. This dude has something else going on. I don't know what his system is. I look at him train and I'm like, okay, you stopped at rep 7. Every single rep looked the same difficulty with the same speed. You did not struggle for 1 millisecond. What made you want to re-rack the weight? I'm genuinely curious if there is like a system in these guys' brains that tells them, okay, this is the rep. And I think I know what that system is. It's called laziness or not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Well, they'll just start a set and they'll stop randomly when they feel like it, when they don't want to do it anymore. How are you supposed to grow like this? This is not possible. This is the definition of spinning your wheels. And you know also that this is the type of person that is going to down the line complain that they go to the gym all the time and they're busting their ass and they're seeing no results, so it must be that they have bad genetics. They'll never be self-aware enough to understand that from day one, they sabotage themselves because they never actually tried. The bare fucking minimum of training is going close to failure, and they couldn't even do that. And it could also be because these are people who think that a rep range is something that you must respect absolutely. So what they'll do is they'll pick a random weight and say, okay, 10 reps, and at the rep 10, they stop because they might believe that this is going to create growth. They haven't understood, I think, that a rep range is supposed to be something that you define around the weight. So if I do a 6x10, I do it picking a weight that means that when I'm close to 10, I'm close to failure. That's logical to me, but apparently not to many people who go to the gym. And I think this is also why, just like with proper form, it is so important to insist on failure. Because all of these RPEs and reps in reserve, all of that is great and nice. Once you've already trained to failure several times, once you understand what it means and why it's important, then you can take a step back. But there's no point in taking a step back if you've never even taken a step in the first place. This is why as influencers, we have to be very careful with all of this fancy stuff, because we need to always remember that 90% of the people who listen to us are complete noobs. They don't need all of this advanced stuff. They need to be told the basics times and times again. This guy in my gym needs someone to grab him by his shoulders and shake him and tell him, hey, you've never been to failure. You don't train. That's not fucking training. You're warming up. And the worst is that this guy spends hours in the gym. I show up, he's there. I leave, he's there. In 2 hours, I get, I don't know how many hard sets done, and I leave and I still see the guy pumping away for nothing. This is the worst part too. He lives in the gym for no result. Another thing, just like with the rep range, you never tell yourself, I want to train for an hour. I see people who do that because they think that the more they train, the more they grow. That's not how it works. You select an amount of work you want to do, and then whatever time it takes, that's it. And maybe one day you'll get to a point where you'll get to train 2 hours hard on like a full body 2 or 3 times a week. But before you get to that point, 45 minutes to an hour of hard sets is going to get you spent. But if you don't do that, sure, you'll spend your time in the gym, you'll live in the gym. These dudes also seem to take pride of it, to take pride in the fact that they are there all the fucking time, which is very easy to do when you're not working hard. And to make up for this lack of stimulation, I guess, this is also the type of person who's on their phone. I'm not talking about a dude who browses Instagram between sets. That's fine. I'm talking about someone who's on their phone during a set. I shit you not, I've seen this multiple times. Guys training legs on leg extensions or the leg press who are on TikTok as they're doing their set. How exactly do you think you're going to grow from this? Your entire attention and focus is on that stupid phone. You're not focused on the muscle and you're not focused on the motion, so you'll look the same. So these dudes pay a $500 membership a year to go to a gym when they could just go to a coffee shop instead and they would see the same results. Please do not be that guy. And also don't be any of the other dudes on this list. If you're on this channel, most likely you're on the right path, but you always have to watch yourself because in reality, even if you're a veteran lifter, there's some of one of these dudes in you. We all have these tendencies. For me, it's number 3. I have a tendency sometimes to get a little bit carried over and I tend to stack too much weight on the bar and I start to get a little bit cute with my range of motion until the day I realize, hey, you're really screwing yourself out of like some serious gains and you just need to get your head in the game, lower the weight, and do the shit properly. It's a reoccurring problem I have in my lifting, and I'm certain that for you, you also have that one sin that you commit times and times again, and that is going to prevent you from making great gains in the coming year. And if you are a resolutioner, nothing wrong with that. Welcome to the gym and welcome to the Church of Iron. I hope you're going to make great gains this year, and you absolutely sure, as long as you don't become one of these dudes. And I'm going to leave you with that. Let me know in the comments if there is an archetype that you've noticed at your gym of someone that you just don't want to see anymore in 2024. And if you enjoyed this segment and you want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the first link in the description. It is my Ko-fi page, you can pledge, you can donate, anything is appreciated. And I'm going to leave you with that. I will see you very soon for a long format video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.